right? So in this session, we'll discuss one real-time scenario. Whenever we are working in global HR module, when we are talking about enterprise structure, the client says that I have a business in India. Let's say your company is Birla Corporation is the company. It's an enterprise, top level organization, enterprise here. Within this Birla Corporation, what client is telling? I have Birla Sun Life Insurance. I have Birla Software Technologies. And I have Birla Sun Life, Birla Finance. Let's say we have total 3 companies. Birla Sun Life Insurance, Birla Software Technologies, Birla Finance. What client is telling? I'm doing 3 different types of businesses: insurance business, then software business, and finance business. 3 different sectors. So I have registered 3 companies. 3 companies. So how many legal entities we have to create? 3 legal entities. Legal entity 1, legal entity 2, legal entity 2, and legal entity 3. 3 legal entities we have to create because 3 companies are there. Then client is telling here, my main company is Birla Sun Life Insurance, total 10,000 employees I have. 10,000 employees I have. Birla Software Technologies, I have around 300 employees. Birla Finance, I have around 50 employees. Total in my enterprise, my business entire in India, total I have 10,350 employees I have. That's my employees head count at enterprise level. So to maintain all my business information, to maintain all my employees, 10,350 employees data, I decided to go for Oracle Fusion Cloud HCM software or a HCM application. So client has decided it's difficult for me to maintain 10,350 employees data in a proper way. It's difficult, no way, right? So to maintain all these employees data, I decided to use this software and maintain that information in this software. So 10,350 employees are there. They are working for 3 companies, different branches, different departments, different positions, different grades, different salary structure, different leave structure, different shift timings, number of responsibilities or managers are different, their skills are different, their workday pattern is different, lot of data we are supposed to maintain. Okay. Now client is telling, out of 3 companies, I will pay salaries from insurance company to these 2 employees. Sorry, these 2 companies, Birla Software Technologies as well as Birla Finance. All 3 are my companies only. But end of the month, I will pay the salaries from this bank account, means from insurance company. I'll be distributing the salaries to these 2 company employees. Okay, so here employees are there. So definitely you have to make it as a legal employer. When employees are there, you have to enable as legal employer here. You have to make it as a legal employer here. Legal employer 1, legal employer 2, and legal employer 3 here it is. Employees are there, we have to make it as this. In this, client is telling that only from my first company, I want to distribute salaries to for all these 3 companies employees. Then what we have to do? This first company, we have to make it as a PSU, Payroll Statutory Unit. We have to make it as a PSU. So while registration or configuration or setup of first company, system will ask us, make it as legal entity, legal employer, and PSU also, because you are distributing the salaries to your employees through this company. While creating this remaining two, we have to enable as a legal entity and legal employer, but these two companies should be associated with the PSU. These two companies should be associated with PSU, because client is telling, I don't want to pay the salaries from these two companies to these employees. This is my main company. These two are sister companies, or whatever it is. So I'll pay it from here. It is okay. So due to different reasons, different tax benefits or whatever the reason, client says that that facility is there in Oracle. So we will go for. Some client says that okay, no problem. Three companies are different PSUs. Okay, 300 employees, I'll pay salary from here, and 50 employees, I'll pay salary from here. That time, no problem. You can configure all our PSUs, three different PSUs. We can go for configure over here. It is. Let's go for configuration of this. In the interviews also, they will be asking us, if I have a requirement like this, how you are going to, if I have a requirement like this, how you are going to configure these options. Now I'm going to show you how to configure this setup, how we can go for configure this particular setup here. Let's go for it. First, we'll go for define all three addresses. We'll ask our client, what is the legal address where all these three companies are registered? Because if you want to register a company, make sure that you have three addresses here. It's mandatory. Now let's go for it here. Birla insurance address. I'm going to configure in India. Choose the country. The moment when you choose the country, see the format has been changed. Depends on the country, the address formats will be different. If you want to know where do we configure this, let me take this as a screenshot. These all are simple setups, not much complex. By default, for every country, there will be a standard address format followed by every company. For example, you are going to start a business in Singapore. As per Singapore government, there will be address format. Of course, address format can be changed as per the company. Whenever they are sending the invoices or receiving the invoices or pay slips, on every document, they wanted to print their company address, right? So whatever the format you want to print, that we need to configure here. Where do we set up this? When I search for address, it is showing that it's not exist, the task, because you are in human capital management only, but in which sector you are in compensation management. Actually, these are basic setups, global HR, base model, core HR setups. Okay, it comes under workforce deployment. So because enterprise structure is the base, starting setup we are supposed to configure. So go to the task here, address format. The style, we can search with this word. Or if you do not have an idea, like what is the structure for this, or what is the task name for this, then what you have to do is you can go for global search. This is global search. It will search for your task in all the modules, not only the HCM or any other things. There will be address style or address. Okay. Mine is address format. And I would like to check this for India. Click search button. This is a HCM address format. This is postal address format. When we go for HCM address format, now we can find here sequence numbers in which line you are going to do it and preview the layout, how it looks like. Already we have taken screenshot, right? In the paint. See, address line 1, 2, 3, city, pin code, state, time zone. City, pin code, and time zone. Okay. So this is how the address formats by default based on the country Oracle will provide. But if client wants to go for make some changes, we can do that. Here it is. Okay. Because when we want to send offer letter to the employees, 10,000, 20,000 employees we have. So obviously in every offer letterhead, either digitally or print. Obviously, we are supposed to print our company address. Not only in offer letter, every document legally, whatever is coming out of the company needs to be printed company address. So that's why we have to configure these details in the initial stage. Okay. So we were talking about what legal address. How many legal addresses are required for this particular scenario? 3 legal addresses are required because 3 legal entities means 3 companies we have. Go to legal addresses here. Now we'll go for this. Choose this country. Let's say this is registered in Delhi. Oh, sorry. City I have given as Bangalore. Let me edit. Okay. So let's say they have registered in Hyderabad finance company. What is another company? Finance and insurance. Another one is a Birla Soft Technologies. IT consulting, they are doing the business. Like these 3 addresses we have created, and we are going to configure 3 companies, nothing but 3 legal entities. Let's go for save and close here. After creating the legal entities, what is our next setup we have to perform? Legal entities. Go to the scope, select scope option here. Choose create new, apply and go to task here. So that's legal entity. Legal address we are going to create here. We have already created legal address, right? Let me choose. If at all you want to use some builder. These all are addresses provided by Oracle for practice purpose. But when we are working in the real time, we'll find 0. That's what we call it as a fresh instance. We are supposed to configure each and every setup. What is address? Okay. So why we are not getting address here? We are working with country called United States. Here we have not changed the country. That's why we are not getting that address here. All our addresses are created in country called India. Now we can find here insurance. And when the moment when you choose the country, here automatically the tax number is a PAN number. In India, whenever you start a company, automatically the PAN number will be allocated to the company, permanent account number. Okay. So here, these all are common. Whatever registration and make it as a legal employer. And client is telling that this is my main company. So make it as a legal entity, legal employer and PSU. The moment when you make it as PSU, this field will be disabled because we decided to pay the salaries from this company to all the employees. Save and close. First company setup has done successfully. Successfully we have completed. Next, second company. This Birla Software Technologies. We have to go for configure the second company. Like this, if our client is having 20, 30 companies also, we are supposed to configure like this. We have the option called HTL for data loading, but generally for enterprise setups and all, we don't go for use that. We'll create manually like this. This country as India, Birla IT. Legal employer. And our client is telling, I don't want to pay the salaries to my employees through this company. Then what is the associated? What is other PSU? The moment when we hire employee, we must pay the salary either from the current company or our another company, whatever we have. Search for another PSU. It may be within the country or it may be outside of the country also. We have already registered, right? Insurance is companies or PSU. So from that company, salaries will be paid to this particular legal entity, employees. The remaining setup is common. This is Birla IT. Place of registration is Bangalore. Save and close. This is second company setup. Same thing, third company, we are going to configure Birla Finance. So for second company, salary payment is from insurance. Even for third company also same. That's what client requirement. So we are going to configure. Sorry, we want to go for create a new legal entity, right? Let's go for create new. Choose the country. Finance. It's a legal employer and associate with another PSU. The moment when we choose this, if you check this, it is a PSU, then it won't ask you associate with another PSU, because here itself, you are going to run the payroll and distribute the salaries to employees. And then we will go for PSU here. And we are going to say that for finance company also, salaries will be distributed from insurance company, insurance legal entity. Save and close. So this is how we can go for configure multiple legal entities, multiple legal employers associated with one PSU. Okay. So after configuration of the legal entities, it should be associated with our LDC, legislative data group. This is a standard question in the interviews. I have registered my company, means I have configured legal entity. I have enabled legal employer also, and I have enabled PSU also. But still, when I am hiring employee, it's showing the error message. You cannot hire employee. What is the reason? The reason is there might be multiple reasons, but this is major. What is that? All the PSUs should associate with the legislative data group. Means all the legal entity, whatever you are paying the salaries from this company, should be associated with legislative data group. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we can go for associate. Associate means attach to the LDC. Already we have legislative data group. Task name also is important. Which task we will be using to assign our legal entity to the LDC. So we'll go to the task here. Manage legal entity HCM information. Manage legal entity information, HCM information. Selected scope. Select and add. Now here, what is our requirement? This is right. Let me go through this. Yes. Only the first company will be associated with LDC, because remaining 2 employees' salaries also we are paying from this company. Only salary information we are going to maintain in the LDC. Only first company we need to associate with LDC. In fact, if you try to attach the remaining 2 legal employers, it won't allow us. Only PSUs will be associated with your LDC, with your legislative data group. Okay, I will show that now. Search for the legal entity, whatever we have configured. So the moment whenever we search for the legal entities, it is showing very clearly. All are active. All are legal employers. But only one company is a PSU. That is Birla Insurance. We have to choose that company. Only that we will be able to associate with LDC. Edit. The moment when we choose legal entity, here itself we can find this is our legal entity, and we enabled it as a legal employer. That's why we got this tab. We enabled it as PSU. That's why we got this tab. We enabled it as PSU. That's why we got this tab. When we go to this tab, payroll statutory unit, then only we'll be able to find the LDC field. That's why I said if it is PSU, then only you will be able to attach it with the legislative data group here. Now go for edit and correction. Choose the legislative data group. So we are assigning this LDG means indirectly the remaining legal entities, whatever is associated for our PSU, it will be assigned here. Choose the LDG here. Let's submit. That's it. Our setup is completed successfully. This is how we have to configure. If they ask, generally in the interviews, they'll give this requirement. Can you explain how will you configure? First, we have to create all three legal addresses. Then go for first one as legal entity, legal employer, and PSU. Then the remaining two, whenever we are creating legal entity, we'll enable legal employer and we'll choose the associated with the PSU called first one, whatever the first one PSU is enabled. Then we have to assign this PSU to LDC, legislative data. Okay, here. When you try to choose the remaining two, it won't show you the PSU tab. Let me show you practically. Already we are in the scope of insurance legal entity. If you open this task directly, it will open the insurance, but I want to go with finance. So click on this. Sometimes this pop-up menu will not show immediately. There might be two reasons. One is maybe pop-ups are blocked. You have to cross-check here. Another one is you have to refresh the page and go ahead. Now choose this Birla Finance. It is just legal employer only, not PSU. The moment whenever you open this here, now here you can find Birla Finance is one of the company and it's a legal entity we have configured, and we can find this tab called legal employer. There is no PSU tab, right? We don't have the PSU tab here. Payroll statutory unit tab we don't have, right? So obviously you cannot go for associate. Only PSUs will be associated with LDC. Why we required like that? LDG stands for Legislative Data Group, which is used to maintain only payroll related information. If you say I have company and employees and no payroll information, there is no question of attaching this with the LDG, right? Only if you are running the payroll and distributing salaries to your employees, then that information needs to be grouped in the legislative data group, LDG, in the LDG here. Okay. So in the interviews, if they ask, like, can I go for attach my legal employer with LDC? No. If it is PSU, then only we can go for associate. Why like that? Because LDC maintain only payroll related information. And you are telling that my company is not a PSU, then there is no question of payroll related information here. That's why it is not going to associate with LDC. Okay. So like this, we have to go for configure the setup. This is a general requirement. Whenever we are working in the real time, it's very common if your client is having multiple employees. If your client is having multiple employees, this is a very common requirement. Okay. So fine. This is how it will work. Let's go for practice. Any doubts are there, you can go for a comment on it. Thank you.